Long ago, in the prosperous kingdom of Mahadweep, there ruled a king named Rudraketu. He was powerful, wealthy, and had everything a ruler could desire. But he had one flaw: his obsession with showing off. His palace was adorned with gold and precious gems, visible from miles away. His throne was made of the rarest jewels, and his royal robes sparkled brighter than the sun. But his greatest pride was his celestial sword, Vajrakal, gifted by the gods themselves. "No one in the world possesses a sword like mine," he would boast. "Even the gods envy my wealth," he declared to his courtiers. His ministers, fearing his wrath, praised him endlessly. "Your Majesty, no ruler in history has ever been as grand as you." But there was one man in the court who never spoke: Sage Agnivrat, an old wise saint who had once been the king's teacher. He observed everything but remained silent. One day the king, eager to hear more praises, turned to the sage and asked, "O wise one, tell me, have you ever seen a king greater than me?" The sage, unlike the flattering ministers, simply smiled and said, "Greatness is not in wealth, but in wisdom. The sun never boasts about its brightness, yet it lights up the world." The king frowned. "Are you saying I am not great?" The sage bowed. "I do not say anything, my king. Time will answer." The king laughed, dismissing his words, but time was already weaving its lesson. One day the king received news that a mighty ruler, King Badran, was hosting a grand tournament. The strongest warriors, the wealthiest kings, and the wisest sages were invited. "I must go," Rudraketu declared. "I will show them that I am the greatest of all." Despite Sage Agnivrat's warnings, the king set out with his army, carrying his celestial sword Vajrakal, eager to display his power. As he arrived at King Badran's court, he saw rulers from all over the land. Some brought elephants adorned with gold, others brought chariots faster than the wind, but none had a sword like his. "Let them see my divine weapon," Rudraketu boasted, drawing Vajrakal. The sword glowed like lightning, and the court gasped in amazement. King Badran smiled and said, "Impressive, King Rudraketu. But let us see how well you wield it. Will you accept a duel?" Blinded by pride, Rudraketu accepted. His opponent was Prince Varun, a young warrior dressed in simple armor. "He is no match for me," Rudraketu thought. The duel began. The king swung his divine sword, but the prince moved swiftly, dodging every attack. Though Rudraketu had the most powerful weapon, he lacked the skill to use it wisely. Within moments, the young prince disarmed him. His celestial sword fell to the ground with a deafening clang. The court fell silent. For the first time in his life, Rudraketu felt humiliated. His sword had been his pride, yet it had failed him. King Badran looked at him and said, "A true warrior does not rely on his weapon, but on his wisdom. The ocean does not need to prove its depth. The sun does not need to prove its warmth. And a wise king does not need to show off his strength." The words pierced Rudraketu deeper than any sword ever could. He had been so busy showing off that he had forgotten to truly learn and grow. Humbled and ashamed, Rudraketu returned to his kingdom and went straight to Sage Agnivrat. "O wise one, I have been a fool. My pride has blinded me. I thought my possessions made me great, but I have realized that true greatness is silent." The sage nodded, his eyes filled with wisdom. "A peacock spreads its feathers to show its beauty, but in doing so, it cannot fly. The strongest trees do not announce their strength, yet they survive the storm. Power is not in what you display, but in what you cultivate within." From that day on, Rudraketu changed. He ruled with wisdom, not arrogance. He focused on learning, not boasting, and his greatest strength became his humility. His kingdom flourished, not because of his riches, but because of his wisdom. And the celestial sword Vajrakal? He never displayed it again, for he had learned that the most powerful things in life do not need to be shown. They speak for themselves. Final lesson: true strength needs no display. The more you boast, the weaker you become. The more you stay humble, the greater you rise. If this story inspired you, like the video and subscribe to Explored Vibes for more wisdom-filled tales.